Alright guys, it's episode 2 of the C2 strip down and repair. I'll warn you now, you are going to hear noises in the background of this video. It's a working workshop, this guy's downstairs, routing, Jamie's moving some cars around, there's an alarm. So if you're bothered by noises in the background, just skip the video, watch something else. Alright? Right, what we've decided to do, so behind me is a bunch of boxes from Dyn Audio. Their branding for repair stuff must be the whole blue and white thing. It's quite nice actually. We've gone with new crossovers throughout, so both speakers, low frequency and high frequency crossovers. This one's done. This one was the one that was working fine anyway. So I took it all apart, changed the crossovers, that's why that box is empty. The crossovers for this one is here, which is the low frequency crossover, and the other one is actually already fitted to this speaker because I've recorded this video and I, for some reason my memory card defaulted, so I lost it. Yeah, that one's fitted. The reason the port is off and the speaker's upside down is because there's two holes. And I'm gonna get a little video of that for you now if I can. See if we can drop you inside this speaker. There's two holes in there. One for the low frequency drivers, the mid basses, the other for the tweeters. As you can see in that video, there's already a cable going through one of them. Now on these holes, on these cables are blocks that seal up the hole once you've fitted the cable. Right, there's a wall that you've just seen. If you didn't seal that, you're going to have an enclosure size that's around 30% larger than what Dyn Audio have governed is necessary for these two mid-bass drivers. So that needs sealing and it gets screwed in with two screws. Now that isn't too much of an issue unless you've got a high frequency crossover, a cable and then a block that you can't push through from the bottom. You've got to push it through from inside. So I've had to remove the port to get my hand in to put that through. So now I'm going to do the bass one. The bass one goes in the base, B-A-S-E, of the speaker. It sits there on 4 screws and the cables feed up through the hole. Now we can fit that one conventionally. There's no trouble with that one. We can just send it through, job's done. What I'm doing is I'm soldering to the binding posts, whereas Dyn Audio had a ferrule and they had clamped it down with a screw. Now the screw is like a T5, like a Torx 5. We haven't got that screw, that tool is too small. So I've undone them and I'm soldering to the terminals. Whether it's better or not, I'm not really interested, as long as there's a proper, electrical connection there. This one's fired up and running, it's fine. This one, I'm hoping that once we've got all of these done, we can plug them in and all of our problems are gone. And we've got 2 speakers with brand new crossover sets, which should sound identical. I've done that one on purpose. I've done the one that was working first on purpose, because if I didn't, I would fire this one up and then I'd be so tempted just to plug that one in, and then it becomes a lot easier to leave the other one alone and not replace its crossovers. I'm human, So yeah, let's get to putting these crossovers in. All right. First thing I'm going to do is solder the new crossovers, so the new tweeter crossover cable, which should be in here, and the mid-bass crossover onto the binding posts. It's a little bit tricky this, because this all goes together in one way. You have to do it kind of in situ, so you've got to bend these over, you've got to bend this over. Very easy just to sit this on here, or and just end up scratching up all the bass and everything like that, but it's a little tricky, but we'll get it done. That tool you can hear in the background is the router downstairs, so any subwoofer boxes we make, or any plinths or platforms, or anything with custom fabrication in car audio, things like this, rebates, shapes, different arcs, we can make all of these things, and it just makes that noise that's going on downstairs. So it's actually building a sub box at the moment for 8 Dynaudio E-Sitar subwoofers. So he's got a lot of routing to do and a lot of soaring to do. So trace cable in these are positive cables. Most trace cables I find it within speakers, and certainly when we do installations, the trace cable is always negative. So I've got to keep my wits about me a little bit, because it is, every trace cable in here is a positive cable. So I've got to get some solder on these bad boys. I really don't like sitting down to do these jobs, but we don't have a, you know, as I've explained, this isn't a speaker repair centre. We can't put these in our fabrication room because it gets dusty in there. So anything like any of these crossover parts, they'd all just end up completely covered in dust. So I've got to do it up here, right in our listening area, on the floor. So anyone comes in at the moment, this place looks like a bit of a nightmare. Silver solder from Cord. I'm not a huge believer in silver solder. I don't think you can hear the difference. A lot of people would argue otherwise, and that's fine, that's up to them. But we have this anyway because we're a Cord agent, because we can solder on their terminals. They kind of insist that we use a particular solder, and it actually bleeds into the metals very well as well. So it's a nice solder to use. And we aren't using silver solder because we believe in anything other than the fact that it's, you know, it's quite a nice thing to use. It's good enough for me. Yeah. Remove its pad. You don't have to really remove it entirely, because the next sticky pad just will do the same job. Straight in there, like that. That sits there. Then we screw it on. They don't seem to want to line up very well. Okay, now it's time to lie down and fit these wooden blocks into place with these screws and swear a bunch. Size is there. Me, honest to God. There's not a single fun thing about putting those in. What a nightmare. Right. Oh, idiot.
What?
See what I've done?
Backwards.
Right. Okay. Oh, it's not going to work, is it? This is going to be the worst video. The first 15 minutes I recorded and my camera didn't record because I didn't have any memory on my memory card. The second one I tried to do, I just did it amongst all the routing and the cars moving and all that stuff. Then I put this foot plate on, put it on upside down. So it was facing backwards.
could ever rewind. They told me the last was like the first.
I found a place full of charm.
So that's it. That's the end of the C2 repair. They were so much tougher than I thought they were going to be. But it's all basic stuff, you know, point to point soldering, things like that. It's not, none of it's sort of super technical stuff. But having to get your arms up and around and in and out of holes and cavities and through certain things to keep it all one piece, that's a tricky thing to do. Replacing the glass was easy, really easy. But the crossovers were a pain in the bum. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. It's a bit of a different one from us, just simply because it's just the standard day-to-day stuff that we never seem to record. It's just always gets done around here, and that's that. But maybe a little bit more of that sort of stuff might flow through to the channel if we get a decent response. But yeah, if you like it, drop us a like. If not, drop us a dislike. Alright, I'm going to carry on fixing this Project X2 that's in front of me now, and for a good client and friend of ours, James, who pulled one of his cables off. We'll get that sorted, and that's my repairing done for this year. Alright, so cost wise, the crossover parts were £220 per speaker. That's for both the bass unit and the high frequency unit, and the glass panel was £96, I think. It isn't just a glass panel, it's a, you know, a bent, curved, polished thing with a CNC sort of back plate on it that enables the bolts from inside the speaker to bolt in. So it's quite a technical piece to build, just not technical to fit. All in all, we're at about $550 for the repairs on an expensive pair of speakers. That's not bad as service items go. So I'm quite happy with that. You know, I'm of course down on the original deal, but we now have new crossovers and a new glass panel just to throw in for good measure. So yeah, that feel good factor is back, and I know now that, you know, those crossovers are good for a long time. You know, if it's another 16 years, these speakers are from 2005. Hopefully this is just a, you know, a coincidence, but all put to bed, really easy to deal with, a quick turnaround. I mean, it's been a between video 1 and 2, it's been around 2 weeks. The parts have been here for about 4 days. We just needed time to get on the speakers, so around 7 to 10 day turnaround in terms of the service parts, from the request to sorting out the issue to receiving the product to having them in here and repaired and fully playing again. So yeah, not too bad at all there. Take it easy, guys. I'm Carl, and this is Studio In Car.